The third week of September, the sky's still too bright, but the air cuts deeper every morning. They've got us on rotating crosswalk duty again, 3 shifts a day. Some of the parents at Willow Creek Elementary appreciate the effort. Others just call the office when the vest doesn't fit, or when you let the wrong van through first. The school's new, but the paint's already peeling near the gym doors. That's how you know a place has real people in it. I like to stand a little off the property when I watch. Keeps the teachers' nerves down. They're used to strangers now, years of drills and reminders, the code words Daisy, but no one uses it. Half the teachers here are younger than the power lines, and none have tenure. I scan for the usual suspects, the kid who doesn't make eye contact, the aide who pets her badge too often, the lone blue car with out-of-state plates. Today's as predictable as ever, until it isn't. Math class starts at 9:10 sharp in room 107. The teacher, a 26-year-old with a teacher voice already fossilized from overuse, is working decimals. Her hands never stop moving, even when her mouth does. Max Randall is third row, 2 seats from the window. Small for 10, blonde hair like wheat, dark bruises under the eyes you'd think were allergies until you'd seen enough sleepwalkers. He's got that bent posture kids get when they expect to be hit, but you wouldn't guess it from his grades. His workbook's always open, every answer erased and rewritten. At 9:28, Max sits up too straight, then folds over so fast the desk rattles. He clutches his stomach and gasps. The sound isn't normal, too shrill for a stomachache, too raw for a tantrum. The room freezes. The girl next to him says, "Stop!" but her voice comes out like she's underwater. Someone laughs, a nervous tick, but the teacher's already crossing the linoleum. Her heels slap like a gavel. Max's eyes are shut so tight you'd swear he was holding in a secret. He lets out a scream, long and rising until it clips off into nothing. He convulses once, twice, fingers digging into his ribs. The teacher's face is all angles, panic, disbelief, professional distance, in that order. "Max? Max, do you need to go to the nurse?" She kneels and touches his shoulder. He recoils, knocking his workbook to the floor. Now everyone's breathing again, but it's the nervous kind. The teacher snaps at a girl in the front row, "Go get Mrs. Nolan." The girl bolts, ponytail swinging. Someone whispers, "Is he dying?" And the reply is, "Maybe he's faking." I watch through the glass in the door as Mrs. Nolan, who's technically the health aide but also handles most disciplinary action, speed walks in. She carries the big, battered first aid bag, the kind with a zipper that always jams. Max isn't screaming anymore, but he's shaking. Sweat beads down his neck, and his knuckles are white. Mrs. Nolan leans in. "Where does it hurt, Max?" He makes a sound like he's trying to cough up a word, but nothing comes out. He clamps his lips and shakes his head. "Max, honey, does your chest hurt? Are you having trouble breathing?" She touches his wrist to check pulse. Her brow furrows. "Can you hear me? Squeeze my hand if you can hear me." Max doesn't respond, not at first. Then he lets out a slow moan, somewhere between a groan and a whimper. The other students are half standing, the ones at the back trying to get a better view, the ones at the front wishing they were in the back. "Call the office," Mrs. Nolan hisses over her shoulder, and the teacher fumbles for the phone. There's a weird animal logic to the way panic spreads in a classroom. Even the loudmouths go silent when pain gets raw enough. They lift Max gently and carry him down the hallway, arms under his armpits and knees. He's breathing fast now, every inhale a little sharper than the last. "You're going to be okay," Mrs. Nolan says, but she says it like she's making a promise to herself. The kids line the hallway, wide-eyed, not sure if they're supposed to clap or pray. I watch as Max disappears around the corner. By the time they get him to the nurse's office, he's curled into himself like a human comma. Mrs. Nolan flips on the overhead lights, yanks open a drawer, and rifles for the thermometer. Max bats her hand away. "No," he says, voice thick and tremulous. "It's not that kind. Don't touch me." Mrs. Nolan pauses, thermometer half raised. She looks at the teacher, then back at Max. "Is someone hurting you at home?" The words drop like bricks. Max shakes his head, squeezes his eyes shut again. "Is it your mom, Max?" He says nothing. "Your dad?" Nothing. The nurse tries again. "Max, honey, I need to call your mom, okay?" He doesn't object. His face is draining, gone gray and waxy. I'd call it fear, but it's something denser, a kind of existential horror that doesn't belong to a fourth grader. You see it sometimes in soldiers, right before they realize a wound won't clot. The office staff reach Lisa Randall at 9:41. She's already on her way. She got the attendance call that Max was out sick yesterday and knew, somehow, this was coming. When she walks in, she looks like she's aged 10 years in a day. Hair a mess, scrubs still on from the night shift, the faintest line of dried blood on her right sleeve. She drops her bag and runs to Max, smothering him with a hug. "What happened?" she demands, scanning the nurse, the teacher, anyone who will meet her eyes. "Is it his appendix? Did he fall?" Her hands move across his body, checking every limb, every joint. Max presses his face into her shoulder, starts to sob. Mrs. Nolan hands Lisa a tissue. "He says it's not an injury. He's got no fever, no visible trauma. He just started screaming." Lisa's voice is hoarse. "This has happened before. Nightmares, but never in the day. Did he say anything? Did he do anything?" She's desperate for a thread. Max shakes his head. The room gets small. It's just the three of them, and the rest of the world on the other side of the shut office door. The silence is intimate, and the fluorescent lights make everyone's skin look thinner. After a minute, Lisa wipes Max's face, helps him sit upright. "We're going home, okay?" Max nods, but he won't let go of her hand. As they leave, the teacher lingers outside the nurse's office, hands clasped like she's praying for a test score. When Lisa passes her, she asks, "Will he be all right?" Lisa glances at her, then at Max. "He's tough. He'll live." The teacher flinches, as if she'd hoped for a different answer. Max's eyes are dry now, but his face is still pinched, as if he's bracing for the next blow. When the door swings shut behind them, I listen to the footsteps echo down the corridor. Then it's quiet again, just the overhead lights and the distant humming drone of another regular school day. It's not until the bell rings for recess that anyone notices the blood on Max's seat, a perfect, glistening quarter moon pressed into the blue plastic. They keep the nurse's office cold on purpose, a leftover from the plague days and the latest theories on infection control. Max shivers on the vinyl cot, knees pulled up, hands clamped between his legs. Lisa rubs circles into his back and whispers in his ear. But it's like talking to someone in a bomb shelter. The only part of him that seems awake is the tremor in his jaw. "Drink," she says, pushing a paper cup to his lips. He tries, then coughs half of it out. His eyes flicker between the walls and the window like he's tracking an animal. When he finally talks, it's so soft it barely moves the air. "I don't want to go home." Lisa tucks his hair behind one ear, but he pulls away. "It's okay, baby. We'll just watch cartoons. You can stay in bed all day." "I'll call the hospital, see if I can get a switch on my shift." Max shakes his head, eyes wide. "Don't make me go back there." "Back where?" She doesn't mean it to sound sharp, but her patience is threadbare. The nurse is watching, pretending to chart, but you can tell from the tension in her shoulders she's storing up details for a call to Child Protective. Max's next words come out in a rush, like he's been holding them in for years. The house next door. It hurts there. Someone's hurting. Lisa looks at him like she's just noticed a fever, but Max keeps talking. It's not me. It's there. I feel it. It's like fire and... He gags, turns to the wall and shudders. It's in my stomach, but it's not mine. Lisa glances at the nurse, who shrugs. Honey, what do you mean, next door? The blue one, with the dead tree. At night the lights turn on and off. Sometimes I see... He trails off, clutching at his shirt. Please don't make me go near it. Lisa sets the water down, then kneels to his level. Max, are you saying someone's hurting you? Her voice is a glass surface, perfectly calm, but there's a creak under it. He shakes his head, but his jaw is locked so tight the words are almost inaudible. It's not me. It's someone else. It's a girl, I think. She screams, but nobody hears. I feel it when I'm sleeping. Sometimes when I'm awake. Lisa closes her eyes, takes a slow, deliberate breath. Did you see anyone, Max? Did you talk to someone? She's parsing for the signs, the red flags, the cycle she's seen too many times as a nurse. Max shrinks back, lips pressed white. I just feel it. When the lights go out, I feel it worse. Lisa stares at him, then at the nurse. The nurse shifts, crossing her arms. You might want to have Dr. Harris do a consult, she says, the suggestion just a little too practiced. Lisa ignores her. We're going home now, she says, but she can't hide the way her voice wavers. She grabs Max's backpack and coat, then walks him out to the car. He won't let go of her hand, not for a second. Outside, the wind's picked up, shaking the playground fence. Max squints at the houses across the street, zeroes in on the blue one with the dead tree. The curtains are drawn, but he stares anyway, as if he can see through the slats. When they get to the car, he doubles over, wheezing. Lisa fumbles with the keys, then buckles him in, hands shaking. As she slides into the driver's seat, Max mutters, She's still there. It hurts so bad. Lisa doesn't answer, just puts the car in gear and drives, eyes locked on the rear view like she expects something to follow. The Randalls live on one of the old side streets, the kind built for families before families were all single mothers and subsidized rents. It's the only split level on the block with more than one car in the driveway. Lisa's Ford is white, covered in the streaks that pass for car washes in September, and the other belongs to her sister, up from Shreveport for support and casseroles. The lawn is scalped, not by choice but by lack of rain, and the mailbox leans at an angle that says it's been hit more than once. Max doesn't leave his room the rest of the day. Lisa tries to get him to eat. He won't. He just sits on his bed, eyes on the wall, counting down to the next bad thing. Lisa spends the first hour on the phone, calling the school, then the nurse, then her own mother, then Dr. Weber, the school psychologist. She leaves long, frantic voicemails. By 3 o'clock, her voice is sandpaper. Dr. Weber is the first to call back. He asks all the right questions. Did you check for fever? Was there any nausea before the episode? Has Max ever mentioned pain outside his own body before? He's careful not to say the word psychosomatic, but it floats above the conversation anyway, an invisible subtitle. Lisa paces the kitchen, wireless phone wedged between ear and shoulder. He's a healthy kid, Dr. Weber. He gets headaches sometimes, but never like this. He's not making it up. Something's wrong. Dr. Weber's voice is gentle. Sometimes trauma expresses itself in strange ways. After the accident last year? Don't, Lisa says, sharper than she means to. This isn't about Jacob. Max never even saw him that day. A pause, then a sigh. All right, but if he starts hearing voices or saying things that don't make sense? He already does that, she mutters. He said he feels pain from a house across the street. Another pause. This time, Dr. Weber sounds more interested than worried. Did he say what kind of pain? Lisa closes her eyes, remembers the way Max doubled over, clutching his stomach like it was full of knives. He said it was fire. He said it was a girl. He said it wasn't his. Dr. Weber hums thoughtfully. Would you be open to talking with someone outside the district? There's a detective the school has used for, well, unusual cases. He's discreet. Lisa is so tired her brain can't process the word. What kind of detective? Private, but he's got a background in these things. Not the usual type. Lisa glances at the hallway, makes sure Max isn't listening. Is this a police thing? It could be, but if it's not, you won't get red-taped. He gives her a number, repeats the name twice. Ray Marshall. She writes it on the back of a grocery flyer. It feels like both a life preserver and a death sentence. At 6, Lisa's sister reheats soup and gets Max to sip 3 spoonfuls. He doesn't complain, just stares at the microwave as the timer counts down. He seems better, but only if you measure better as not actively screaming. Lisa tries to call Marshall. He picks up on the second ring, voice slow and measured. You're the detective? I was, he says. Who's asking? She tells him, and he listens. There are no interruptions, no detective cliches, just silence until she finishes. Sounds like a bad one, he says, but not impossible. I can swing by tonight. It's dusk when he arrives. He parks on the street, just close enough to the hydrant to signal that rules are for other people. Lisa watches him approach through the blinds. He's older than she expected, 60s maybe, with a trench coat that's probably seen more action than its owner. His eyes look like they could catalog a whole city block in one pass, and his face has lines for every regret. Lisa opens the door before he can knock. Thank you for coming. I didn't know what else to do. He shrugs, steps inside. Most people never do. He scans the living room in 2 seconds flat. The only family photo is flipped face down on the mantel. He notices, but doesn't comment. Lisa leads him to the kitchen. The smell of chicken broth hangs in the air, masking the tang of bleach. He sits, hands folded on the table. You said your son's name is Max? Upstairs. Want me to call him down? He shakes his head. Let's talk first. What do you remember from this morning? Lisa recounts it, voice tight and exhausted. The way Max collapsed, the screaming, the shaking, how he said it was someone else's pain. When she gets to the part about the blue house, Marshall leans in. Did he mention that house before? Never. We barely know the people there. Marshall scratches his jaw. Who lives there? She hesitates. A couple. He's a doctor, I think. They keep to themselves. Marshall nods. How old is Max? 10, almost 11. He writes something on a legal pad, the kind police can't break themselves of even after retirement. Any history of hallucinations? Night terrors? Nightmares, sometimes. Not like this. She looks at her hands, knuckles gone white. He lost his brother last year. They say grief can do things. Marshall doesn't flinch. It can, but kids don't make up pain like that, not unless there's a payoff. What does that mean? He shakes his head. Never mind. May I see him? Lisa leads the way upstairs, knocks softly on Max's door. It's me. I'm coming in. Max is in bed, covers pulled to his chin, eyes fixed on the ceiling. He doesn't react when Marshall enters. Marshall stands at the foot of the bed, saying nothing. After a minute, Max looks over. You're the detective. Used to be, Marshall says. You don't look much like a cop. Max shrugs. Don't feel like one either. Marshall likes him already. I heard what happened today. That was rough. Max nods, then winces. It's better now. Marshall watches him, picking up details. No visible marks, but the way Max holds himself is telling. Coiled, tense, ready for aftershocks. Do you feel anything right now? Max shakes his head. It's quiet. Sometimes it's loud, sometimes not. Can you tell when it's going to happen? Max's lip quivers. I think so. Last night, it started late. Then this morning, it was just there. What does it feel like? Max closes his eyes. Like someone's cutting me open. But it's not me. It's a girl. Marshall writes that down, even though he won't forget it. Do you know her? No, but I think she lives there. He points toward the window, and Marshall steps over. Through the blinds, you can see the blue house, perfectly normal except for the shade of paint that looks wrong in any season. Why do you think it's her? Max shrugs. She screams sometimes, not out loud, but inside. Marshall leans on the window, thinking. You said the house with the dead tree? Max nods. There's a siren in the distance, ambulance, not police, and Max jolts so hard he almost falls out of bed. Marshall notices. Lisa notices. Nobody says anything, but the message is clear. Marshall thanks Max, then follows Lisa downstairs. She makes coffee, even though it's too late for caffeine, but neither of them protest. What do you think? Lisa asks. Marshall takes his time. Could be trauma, could be something else. He waits for her to argue, but she doesn't. She just drinks her coffee and stares at the counter. Outside, the blue house's porch light flickers on. Max is right. The dead tree in the yard looks like it's reaching for the window. Marshall watches it for a long time, then writes a note to himself. Check previous owners. Look for missing persons. He tears the page off, folds it, and slips it into his pocket. He doesn't say goodbye, just leaves the cup on the table and lets himself out. The porch step creaks under his weight, and he winces. He's too old for this, but he doesn't know how to stop. Back in his car, he sits for a while and watches the blue house. Nothing moves, but the longer he stares, the more he's sure that someone inside is wide awake, watching him back. At midnight, the streetlights make the block look like a crime scene already cordoned off. Nobody's out, but the windows glow with the sickly light of sleeplessness. The blue house is dark, but the dead tree casts a longer shadow than it should. I wait in the car until the dashboard clock flips over, then head home. The idea is to get some rest, but sleep's been a rumor for a long time. The call comes at 3:08 a.m., the hour when only bad news travels. I don't recognize the number, but I answer anyway. Detective Marshall? The voice is shaky, young. This is Mrs. Price. You spoke at the school last spring. I rack the memory. Ava's mother? A beat. She didn't come home tonight. I called the police, but they said there's nothing to worry about until morning. But you know, don't you? I sit up in bed, all adrenaline. When did you last see her? After school. She was walking to her dad's, but he never saw her. She was supposed to call me when she got there. Route? She takes Willow, cuts through Franklin, then past the park. She swallows hard. That's where they found Jacob Randall, isn't it? I don't answer. I'll be there in 10, I say, and hang up. The street is even emptier than before. At the Price house, the porch is lit, and Mrs. Price is waiting, wrapped in a robe, arms around herself like she's bracing for impact. She's got the haunted look of someone who knows how this story usually ends. I ask the questions I have to. What was Ava wearing? Did she have her phone? Was there anyone following? The answers don't matter yet, but I write them down anyway. "She's a good kid," Mrs. Price says, over and over. "She wouldn't run off. She's not like—" She stops herself, but the implication hangs there. Not like the others. I tell her I'll do what I can. Then I drive the route Ava was supposed to take, headlights sweeping over sleeping lawns, the edges of the park, the bus shelter. No sign of her, but that's normal. Kids vanish by folding into cracks you didn't know existed. Dawn comes slow and gray. On impulse, I swing by the Randalls. The kitchen light is on, and Lisa answers on the first knock. Her hair's unbrushed, eyes swollen. Max sits at the table, bundled in a blanket. He looks even smaller than yesterday. "Have you heard about Ava Price?" I ask. Lisa nods. "She's gone, isn't she?" "Last seen after school. Same path as your son's friend." Max doesn't react at first, but then he grips the mug in front of him until his knuckles go white. "Did you see her yesterday?" I ask. He shakes his head, then hesitates. "I heard her." "Where?" Max stares at the window, then at the blue house. "It's louder now. The pain, it's like—" He stops, eyes glazed, and then, "It's cold. Like when they make you lie on the metal table at the hospital, but darker. There's no light. It smells like—" He clamps a hand over his nose, shuddering. "Like metal and fear." Lisa moves to comfort him, but Max shrinks away. "She's in there," he whispers, "or under it." Lisa looks at me, desperate. Is this real? Is he psychic or just broken? I wish I had a better answer. "Sometimes trauma does this," I say, "but I'll check it out." I walk across the street to the blue house, the early morning wet clinging to my shoes. There's no movement inside. The curtains are drawn. The car in the drive hasn't moved all night. I circle the property, looking for something, anything. The only sign of life is a dented tricycle near the side gate, a spiderweb woven between the handlebars. I ring the bell, but no one answers. I leave a card in the mailbox, then return to the street. Lisa's still watching from her window, Max peeking out beside her. I spend the day running down dead ends. The police don't want my help, but they don't refuse it either. I check in with Dr. Weber, who's been fielding calls from frantic parents. He tells me 2 more kids reported hearing Ava screaming last night, but their parents chalked it up to nightmares. By sundown, the air is so thick with tension you could hang it on a line. The cops finally start a real search. They find nothing. No footprints, no phone, not a scrap of her backpack. At the Randalls, Max is worse. He sweats through his clothes, burning up with fever, but his skin is ice cold to the touch. Lisa sits by his bed, stroking his hair, whispering prayers I know she doesn't believe in. At 2 a.m., the phone rings again. Lisa's voice is barely a whisper. "Can you come?" I do. Max is delirious, eyes rolled back, clutching his stomach. Every few minutes he lets out a ragged wail, then goes limp. "She's dying," he says, in a voice that isn't his. "It hurts so much." I put a hand on his shoulder. "Where is she?" He flinches, then, "The cold room. She can't move. She wants her mom." The temperature in the room drops a few degrees, or maybe that's just my imagination. I look at Lisa, then at the window, then at the blue house. "I'm going over there," I say. Lisa's too tired to argue. This time, I don't bother with the bell. I circle the house, check the basement windows. One's unlatched. I pry it open and drop down. The basement is unfinished, cold concrete and cardboard boxes stacked against the walls. There's a faint smell, bleach mostly, but under that something metallic, something wrong. I move slow, sweeping with my flashlight. Every step echoes. At the far end, behind a furnace, I find a small windowless room. The door's shut, but not locked. Inside, it's pitch black. I flip the switch. It's empty. Just a mattress, stained, and a pile of children's books. But on the wall, someone's scratched lines and numbers over and over in a pattern that looks like a calendar of bad days. I scan the floor. There's a spot where the concrete is new, different color from the rest. I crouch and press my palm to it. It's cold, colder than the air. I take photos, then back out, careful not to touch anything else. Back at the Randalls, Max is unconscious, breathing shallow and ragged. I tell Lisa what I found, but leave out the worst of it. "They'll find her," I say. "I promise." She nods, but her eyes are empty. I walk outside and look at the blue house, the dead tree, the street that still looks like a crime scene even before the tape goes up. I used to believe in closure, in answers, but I know now that some pains never leave. They just pass through, looking for the next place to land. By the time the sun's up, nobody's slept. The Price house is swarming with police, this time the right kind. They string tape around the block and question anyone who ever saw Ava. The blue house is locked up tight, but I know they'll search it soon enough. Lisa paces her living room like a zoo animal. Every window shade is up, every light on. Max alternates between shivering and sweating, bundled in blankets but begging to be let outside. I watch from the corner, making notes that amount to nothing. At 10 a.m., Lisa gets a call from Dr. Weber. He's checking in on Max, but also fishing for anything new. "He's the same," Lisa says, voice flat. "Worse, maybe." She glances at me, then lowers her voice. "Is it possible for pain to move like this? To jump from person to person?" Weber doesn't answer right away. "There are cases," he admits. "Not many, but enough to make you wonder." She hangs up. Max moans from the couch, clutching his gut. "Make it stop," he pleads. I think of the room in the blue house, the stains on the mattress, the cold patch of concrete. "Let's drive," I say. Lisa looks at me like I've asked her to amputate a limb, but she nods. She pulls Max to his feet, supports him as they walk to the car. We cruise the neighborhood, slow, hazard lights blinking. Max sits in the back, window open, face turned to the wind. For the first few blocks, nothing happens. He seems almost peaceful, like he's bracing for a test he knows he'll fail. Then we pass the house with the blue paint, and Max bolts upright. "Stop!" he chokes. Lisa hits the brakes, and Max doubles over, teeth gritted so hard I'm surprised they don't shatter. "It's here," he whispers. "It's worse." I jot the time, 10:41. If I cross-reference that with the time Ava vanished and the time Max first collapsed, there's a pattern. Some kind of resonance, like a radio tuned to the wrong frequency. We sit in the car, engine idling. Lisa watches the house, knuckles white on the wheel. I watch Max, who's shaking so hard he can't hold his head up. "Do you see her?" I ask, quiet. He shakes his head. "No, but I hear her. She's scared. She thinks no one's coming." "She's wrong," I say. Lisa squeezes her eyes shut, tears leaking out. "What do we do?" "Drive," I say again. "Go slow." We circle the block. Each time we pass the blue house, Max stiffens, sometimes letting out a low animal cry. On the third lap, he slumps over, limp. Lisa pulls to the curb and turns around. "Max?" Her voice breaks. He looks up, eyes unfocused. She's still alive, but it hurts too much. I open the door, let the morning air in. The pain in my chest is familiar, but now it's doubled, once for myself, once for the kid. I fish out my pad, make a note. Compare Max's symptoms to Ava's timeline. I know what comes next. The police will dig up the yard, maybe the basement. They'll find her, or what's left. But the pain will stick around, in Max, in Lisa, in everyone who ever heard the story. It'll hang in the air like the smell of metal and fear. We drive home in silence. Max falls asleep in the back seat, the first real sleep he's had in days. Lisa doesn't ask what I'm thinking, and I don't tell her. But I know, without a doubt, that whatever happened in that house is still happening. And if I want to help, I have to go back, even if the pain finds me next. I spend the next day inventorying everything I missed the first time. The way Max's pain comes in waves, cresting at dawn and again at dusk. The low-level panic in every parent's voice, even when they try to laugh it off. The fact that for all the police tape and press conferences, nobody's actually found anything yet. The blue house is still sealed, but there are new tire tracks in the gravel, a suggestion of movement behind the blackout curtains. I clock the details, everyone, and still feel like I'm reading the wrong side of the page. I start where every good cop starts, with a notebook and a map. I sketch the block, then the neighborhood, then the whole damn city, filling in dots for every incident I can remember. At first, the only pattern is the absence of one. The kids are too different, the times too far apart, the methods, if you can call them that, haphazard. Some kids vanish forever, some come home hollowed out, and some, like Max, just take the pain and keep moving. I get nowhere for hours, so I retrace the path. I call in favors. The old woman who worked intake at the ER remembers the night Max's brother was brought in, remembers a girl from 3 years back who showed up with teeth marks on her arm and a story that didn't fit the x-rays. I dig up police reports. Most are half redacted, some never filed at all. I piece them together in the living room, taping up pages until the wall looks like an ulcerated skin. By midnight, I've got 12 cases that never made the papers, all from houses within 6 blocks of each other. All in September, give or take a week. I lay the pages out on the carpet, crime scene style, and run string from one to the next. The lines converge on the same block every time, the same handful of houses. I check property records, and my stomach knots when I see that for 3 of the last 5 years, the same address shows up as a residence of record, Dr. Eric Phelps. The family doctor with the neighborly handshake and the blank, inoffensive eyes. I cross-check every line, every kid who ever walked through his front door. 3 of them ended up missing, 2 came back, but wouldn't speak for months. A couple years, the records go blank, but I remember the rumors, how the good doctor volunteered at the local clinics, how he was always the first to show up when a kid broke something on the playground, how nobody could quite say where he'd been. Before he moved to Willow Creek, I don't believe in ghosts, but I believe in patterns. And this one's got teeth. I think about calling Detective Gomez, but she's already shut me down once. The department's got a new supervisor, straight from a suburb where bad things only happen on TV, and they're running this like an Amber Alert, not a homicide. I settle for the next best thing. Dr. Weber, the school shrink with the world's worst poker face. I meet him at a donut shop on the South End, a place that's been open since the city still had factories. He's already there when I arrive, 2 coffees steaming and a box of glazed on the table. He waves me over, hands trembling just enough to make the cups rattle. "You said it was urgent," he says, like he's hoping I'll tell him otherwise. "It's about Max and Ava, and maybe every kid that ever spent 5 minutes alone with Dr. Phelps." He goes pale, then tries to play it off. "Eric, he's been in practice for 20 years. There's never been—" I slide the folder across the table. "There's never been an official complaint, but I found 12 wellness checks, 6 flagged for follow-up that never happened. 3 missing persons, all with a medical evaluation in his office the week prior. I've seen this pattern before. It's not clean, but it's there. He flips through the pages, lips pressed thin. You're saying I'm saying we've got a string of disappearances all in his orbit, all with the same preamble. A kid gets sick, starts acting weird, and then either ghosts or collapses. Weber puts a hand to his forehead. Why didn't anyone see this? I shrug. Because he's the kind of predator who doesn't need a mask. He wears the badge, the stethoscope, the free clinic smile. Nobody looks at the lifeguard when the kid drowns. They just call it a tragedy. He looks out the window, like the sun might burn the thought away. What do? We get proof, something physical, or at least a statement that'll hold up long enough to get a warrant. He rubs his eyes, already exhausted by the idea. Max won't talk to me. He's afraid of men in lab coats now. Lisa, his mother, she's barely holding on. If we push too hard, she'll pull him out of school. I drink the coffee, let it scorch my tongue. Then we make it safe. We meet on neutral ground, you, me, and the kid. No pressure, just a walk, maybe a drive. See if he can point us to where it hurts. Weber considers, then nods. He likes cars. His dad used to take him to those demolition derbies at the fairgrounds. He says the noise drowns out the other stuff. I put that in the file. Good. Set it up. Tomorrow, after school. He gathers the papers, hands shaking again. Are you going to the police? I shake my head. Not until I have something they can't ignore. You know how this town works. He does. He leaves first, taking the evidence with him. I wait until he's gone, then finish both coffees. My hands are steady, but only because I've already lost everything worth shaking for. Back at my place, I run the numbers again. The lines on the map, the names in the files, the sequence of pain and disappearance. The next circle on the calendar is only 3 days away. I mark it in red, then try to sleep, dreaming of blue paint and the smell of metal and fear. The next morning, the news is all search parties and amber graphics. Ava's face is everywhere, but her name is already receding into the static. At the school, the teachers cluster like sheep, waiting for a shepherd who won't come. I watch from the curb as Max shuffles from the car to the front doors, head down, hands balled in his pockets. Lisa doesn't let go of him until he's all the way inside. I follow them in. The building smells like sanitizer and anxiety. I spot Dr. Weber by the office, wringing his hands. He sees me, and the relief is almost embarrassing. We're set, he whispers. He's got a double period after lunch. I can pull him out, say it's for counseling. Lisa? She's on board, as long as she's with us. Good. He glances over my shoulder, drops his voice. I heard the police are questioning the janitor. Why? Because he's got a record, and because nobody wants to look at the doctor. I nod. The world doesn't change, just the bodies in the pile. We wait until 1, then gather Max from the science lab. He looks better, alert even, but his eyes dart around the hallway like he's expecting something to jump out. We walk to the lot, and I let him ride shotgun. Weber and Lisa squeeze into the back. Where we going? Max asks, voice steady for once. I hand him the map. You tell me. He looks at it, then at the houses I've circled. He points to one, then hesitates. That's it, he says, but it's not the house. It's under it. Under? He nods. The dreams. There's a basement, but it goes deeper. Sometimes I see a door with no handle. Sometimes it's just stairs, but it's always cold, and it smells like the hospital. Lisa looks at me, terrified. What does that mean? I don't answer. I start the car and drive slow, watching Max as much as the road. We circle the block, then park across from the blue house. The windows are dark, but I can see movement behind the curtains. Max stares at the front door, lips moving in a silent count. After a minute, he turns to me. He's there. He doesn't come out during the day, but at night he walks around the block. Sometimes he stands in the backyard and just waits. Lisa's breathing is shallow, like she's running a race with no finish. "Do you see Ava?" I ask. He closes his eyes. "She's in the dark room. She's scared, but she doesn't scream anymore. She thinks if she's quiet, he'll let her go." He starts to cry, not loud, but the kind of silent tears that don't stop. Lisa pulls him close, and Weber looks away. I write it down, every word, because that's all I can do. We sit there until Max calms, then I walk him back to the building. The rest of the day passes in a haze. I run through the case again, looking for cracks. I find none. That night, I get a call from an unknown number. The voice is electronic, but the message is clear. "Stop looking," it says. "You don't know who you're dealing with." It hangs up before I can answer. I listen to the dial tone, then start packing a bag. If they want me scared, they picked the wrong ghost. I walk the streets until dawn, watching the lights go out one by one. At the blue house, I see a figure in the backyard, just as Max described. He stands there for a long time, head tilted back like he's tasting the air. I wait until he goes inside, then mark the time in my notebook. 3 days until the next one. I hope I'm ready. Detective Gomez meets me at the diner 30 minutes before sunrise. She shows up in plain clothes, but there's a telltale badge bulge at her hip, and she orders her coffee black and fast, like caffeine is the only thing keeping her vertical. She doesn't sit. She leans, one elbow on the counter, and scans the joint like she's expecting an ambush. "You got something?" she asks, not wasting syllables. "Depends on what you want to call it," I say, sliding a manila envelope across to her. "It's a pattern, if nothing else." She flips through the photos and printouts, frowning. "This is just your red string shit, Marshall. Kids go missing, bad people do bad things. Doesn't mean it's all one guy. Look at the addresses. Look at the dates." She does, and her brow creases. "That's a statistical cluster, not a confession." I sip my coffee. "It's more than stats. The kid, Max, he can feel it. Where it happened, when it happened. You saw him in the office. He's not faking." She shrugs. "Kids are suggestible. You know that. What's your theory? That he's psychic?" "I don't care what it is. I care that we can use it. I want to take him around the block. See where he lights up." She laughs, but there's no humor in it. "You want to use a traumatized fourth grader as a divining rod." I don't blink. "You got a better idea?" She studies me for a long beat. "Fine, but if he so much as gets a bruise, I'll have you in a cell with a view of the janitor's mugshot." "Deal," I say. "Bring a cruiser. Make it official." We drive to the school together, sun just starting to smear orange across the horizon. Lisa's already waiting in the parking lot, Max bundled in a parka 2 sizes too big, staring at the playground like it's the last safe place on earth. Gomez keeps her voice soft. "Hi, Max. Remember me?" He nods, then looks at his shoes. Lisa glares at me. "Is this necessary?" "Only way to be sure," I say, and I believe it. We pile into the squad car, Gomez driving, me in the passenger seat, Max and Lisa in the back. There's a plexiglass divider, but it's less for protection and more for optics. Gomez narrates as she pulls away from the curb, her voice just a shade warmer than a warning. "First stop, Franklin and Oak, house on the corner. Guy inside's been on parole since 17. Likes kids too much. Max stares out the window, face blank. The car idles at the curb for 5 minutes. Nothing happens. Gomez glances in the mirror. "You okay back there?" Max shrugs. "It's cold." She makes a note. Next, we circle to Pine and 6th, another flagged address, this time a basement apartment. The shades are drawn, and there's a dog chained to a tire in the yard. Again, nothing. Max fidgets, but mostly he just wants to go home. After 3 more stops, each more pointless than the last, Gomez looks at me, smug. "Any more hunches, Detective?" I gesture at the map in her hand. "Let's hit the blue house." She frowns, but she steers us there. This time, as we park, Max goes rigid, arms pressed against his ribs. His breathing spikes, sharp and shallow. Lisa notices first. "Are you okay?" she whispers, hand on his shoulder. Max shakes his head. "It hurts." "Where?" He touches his chest, then his throat. "Here and here, like someone squeezing." Gomez writes it down, but her skepticism's cracked at the edges. "Describe it," I say. Max blinks, eyes filling. "Like before, but worse. It's like there's something under the house and it wants to come up." Gomez kills the engine, hands shaking. "Are you sure, Max?" He doesn't answer. He curls into himself, face in his knees. We wait. 5 minutes, then 10. The pain doesn't subside. When the windows of the blue house flicker with movement, Max flinches so hard he nearly cracks his skull on the divider. I turn to Lisa. "You see?" She's already crying. "Why him? Why always him?" Nobody has an answer. We try 2 more addresses, both outside the circle I drew. Max is fine at both, even asks if he can get a donut on the way back. Gomez stops the car a block from the blue house, then gets out and paces. "You think the kid's been there? Maybe blocked it out?" I shake my head. "No history, no visits, no appointments. He's never even met the doctor." "Then why?" "Because whatever's in that house doesn't need an invitation." She looks at me like I've sprouted a second head. "You believe this? Really?" I shrug. "Doesn't matter what I believe. The data's the data." She exhales, long and low. "We can't get a warrant off a kid's stomach ache." "No," I say, "but we can watch. We can wait. And if the next one disappears, we'll know where to look." She shakes her head, but she doesn't argue. "You're out of your goddamn mind, Marshal." "Wouldn't be the first time." We drive Max home, silent. He falls asleep in the back, the kind of sleep that looks like surrender. After, I walk the block by myself. The blue house looms, even in daylight. I circle it twice, counting windows, watching for the flicker of movement behind the glass. There's a moment, right at dusk, when the front porch light snaps on. For a second, I see a figure in the window. Not Dr. Phelps. He's too tall, too angular. This is something smaller, crouched and staring, eyes level with mine. I look away first. I go home, make notes, and wait for the clock to run out. The next one is coming. I can feel it in my bones. The morning after the drive, Lisa calls me at 6 a.m. Her voice is a bandage, tight, about to tear. "Someone was in my yard," she says. "There are footprints in the grass. Big ones." I'm there in 10, coffee still burning a hole in my gut. The dew's barely off, but the prints are clear. Size 12, maybe 13, cutting a path from the street to her mailbox, then back. Whoever it was, they stood out there for a long time, staring at the house. The impression's so deep you can see the tread pattern. I snap a photo, but it's just for show. Cops won't even log it as evidence. Lisa waits on the porch, arms folded, eyes red. Max sleeps inside, unaware of the orbit closing around him. "They're watching," she says. I nod. "They want you scared." "It's working." I'm not sure what to say, so I crouch by the steps and light a cigarette. She flinches at the smell, but doesn't ask me to stop. At 8, a minivan pulls up to the curb. Out steps a man in a neighborhood watch windbreaker, suburbs' idea of SWAT. He's got a clipboard and a grin that's all gristle. "You Lisa Randall?" he asks. She doesn't answer. He tries again. "We've had some complaints, about rumors, mostly. Wild stories about your kid, about other people's kids. That's dangerous, Ms. Randall. Panic like that gets people hurt." Lisa's voice is ice. "My son is telling the truth." The man's smile dies a little. "Truth is a matter of perspective. We all want this to go away, but you're making it hard. The police are doing their job. You should let them." I step forward, smoke curling from my nose. "You done, neighbor?" He glances at me, then backs off. "Just trying to keep things peaceful." He hands Lisa a flyer. On it, in bold, is the phrase, "Keep Willow Creek safe." Beneath, in smaller print, "Rumors endanger children. Silence is safety." I take the paper, crumple it, toss it in the trash. When the man drives away, Lisa slumps against the doorframe, shaking. "They're blaming us," she says. "People need something to blame. When they're scared, it's easier to pick a target than to look at the real problem." She laughs, short and bitter. "You sound like my ex." "He was a cop. Not always wrong." She sighs. "I'm not going to stop." "Good. Don't." That afternoon, as Lisa loads groceries into her trunk, she finds an envelope taped to the rear windshield. Inside is a single sheet of paper, typed in block letters. "Mothers who lie lose their children." She shows it to me at the kitchen table, hands trembling so bad she spills coffee everywhere. I read it twice, then tear it in half. "They're trying to push you out. Don't let them." She wipes her eyes, and for a second she looks 10 years younger, like she remembers who she was before Max started bleeding pain for every lost kid on the block. "I don't care what they do to me," she says, "but if they touch my son—" "They won't," I say. "Not while I'm here." She nods, but I know neither of us believe it. Outside, the mailman skips her house. The neighbors' cars idle a little longer before pulling into their garages. Max doesn't leave his room except for food and the bathroom. Every so often I catch him staring out the window at the blue house, like he's waiting for the next message to crawl up through the dirt. That night I sleep on the couch, one hand on the phone, the other on my old service pistol. I wake every hour, listening for footsteps. The silence is the worst part. The pain hits at 2:17 a.m. I know because I'm staring at the ceiling, counting the cracks above Lisa's couch. Max's scream is so raw it scrapes the air, one long exhale of terror that doesn't even sound human. I'm up before the second breath. Lisa beats me to the stairs, 2 at a time, bare feet skidding on the wood. We hit his room together, the door splintering under her shoulder. Max is curled on the floor, eyes wide but unseeing, hands clawing at his own arms. There's blood, real blood, where he's torn at the skin. Lisa tries to hold him, but he kicks and thrashes, a wild animal caught in a bear trap. "He's cold, Ray," she shouts, panic chewing up her voice. "He's fucking freezing." I grab a blanket, wrap him tight. He shakes so hard I feel his teeth chatter through the fabric. His eyes finally find mine, and he says, "She's still alive, but not for long. We have to go." Lisa's mouth opens, then closes. She looks at me, begging for an answer. "Where, Max?" I ask. "Where do we go?" He wheezes, every word a struggle. Chains, wet concrete, smells like old paint and burnt hair, the shed behind the broken house. Lisa blinks, tries to parse it. Which house? Phelps, Max says. The blue one. She looks like she's about to faint. I steady her, then haul Max into my arms. He's light, too light, and his skin is cold as river stones. We bundle into Lisa's car, not bothering with coats or shoes. The neighborhood is silent except for the roar in my head. Lisa drives, Max in my lap, shivering and whispering to himself. Every streetlight throws shadows across his face, painting him a year older with each block. The blue house looks deserted, but there's a patch of frost on the inside of the windows, like someone's been running a freezer full tilt. We park at the curb, kill the lights. Max points at the side alley, a gap in the fence overgrown with dead vines. "In there," he says. "Hurry!" Lisa's hands are shaking so bad she can't turn the key. I take it from her, pocket the flashlight from the glove box, and pop the trunk. There's a crowbar inside, left over from some home repair project. It feels heavy and right in my hand. We follow Max through the yard, weeds scraping our ankles. He limps, dragging one foot, but his pace never slows. The shed is behind the garage, a lean-to with a rusted door and a padlock so old it's more decoration than security. Max stops, points. She's inside. He's not here, but he'll come back. Lisa's breath fogs the air. "Do it," she says. I jam the crowbar into the seam, torque it hard. The door shrieks open, metal peeling from the wood. The smell hits first. Copper, rot, something chemical. I swing the light in an arc, heart hammering. The floor is concrete, cracked and wet. In the corner is a pile of rags and what looks like a paint can. Red splatters up the wall, some fresh, some older. There's a broken folding chair, one leg snapped and twisted. On the ground, half covered by a torn sheet, is the bracelet. Red, plastic, with letters that used to spell Ava, but now just read A. Lisa stumbles in, hands to her mouth. She kneels by the bracelet, picks it up with trembling fingers. There's blood on it, sticky and bright. I check the rest of the shed, but there's no body, just drag marks, leading out a hole in the back. The dirt here is soft, churned up like something heavy was pulled through. I take pictures, more out of habit than hope. Max stands in the doorway, pale as moonlight. "He's going to move her," he says, "before the sun." Lisa turns to me. "We have to call the police." "They won't believe it," I say. "Then make them believe." She doesn't wait for an answer. She dials 911, voice steadier than I expected. She gives them the address, tells them to bring an ambulance, tells them her son's the witness. While she talks, I follow the drag marks through the brush. They lead to a storm drain, half obscured by branches. There's blood here, too, and a tuft of brown hair caught on the grate. I pull out my phone, snap more pictures. Behind me, Max shivers. He's still close, watching. I believe him. I look up, scan the windows of the blue house. The frost is gone, but I swear I see a shadow behind the glass, tall, thin, unmoving. I make Lisa and Max wait by the car while I pace the block, eyes peeled for anyone lurking. Nothing, just the hush of a suburb that's already decided whose side it's on. The first cop cars roll up silent, lights off, like they're more afraid of waking the neighbors than finding a corpse. Gomez is in the lead. She clocks the blood in the bracelet, her whole face folding into a mask of rage. "What the hell, Marshal?" she hisses. "You want a statement?" I hand her the bracelet. "Start with this." Paramedics swarm Max, check his vitals. He's stable, but his eyes won't stop darting to the shed. Gomez glances at Lisa. "You see anyone?" Lisa shakes her head. Just the footprints and the blood. They tape off the scene, start grid searching the yard. The storm drain gets a cover of plywood, but everyone knows what they'll find when daylight comes. Gomez takes my statement last. Her pen barely moves as she writes. "You believe me now?" I ask. She doesn't look up. "No, but I believe something's wrong here. I'll pull Phelps in for questioning, but with no body, it's going to be a circus. Watch Max. If he says anything, listen." She nods. "We'll get you a patrol car out front, just in case." I watch as the paramedics load Max into the ambulance. He reaches for Lisa, and she climbs in beside him, never letting go of his hand. The yard is empty now, the shed a black hole in the night. I wait until the sun creeps up, then walk the block again. I stop in front of the blue house, stare at the windows, and wonder what's looking back. There's no answer, just the promise of more pain to come. By mid-morning, the news has what it wants, a suspect and a story. They pick up a homeless guy sleeping 3 blocks from the blue house, clothes still damp from the sewer grate where they found Ava's bracelet. The press conference is all flashing bulbs and satisfied grins. The DA calls it swift community action. The neighborhood watch gets a photo op on the courthouse steps. Nobody asks why a man with no address and no car would risk dragging a body through a neighborhood crawling with cops. Nobody asks why he didn't run when the lights flicked on or the sirens cracked the silence. Nobody wants questions, just an ending. Gomez calls me to the station, says they've got it wrapped. The suspect isn't talking, but his prints are on the bracelet. She says it like she's proud, but her eyes tell a different story. I watch her for a minute. "You don't believe it," I say. She shrugs, pretends to read a report. "Doesn't matter what I believe, it's what I can prove." "Max still hurts," I tell her. She snorts. "Kid's been through hell. Takes a while for wounds like that to close." "It's not that kind of pain," I say, but she's already shut the folder and moved on. I walk the halls of the station, looking for ghosts. There are plenty. The faces change, but the scripts stay the same. File the report, pin the crime, put a bow on it. I check the board for updates, but the only name in red is the vagrant's. I leave, find a payphone, and call Lisa. She sounds exhausted. "They say it's over," she says. "They're lying," I say. She waits. Max is worse. I don't ask how. I just tell her I'm coming. The house is still. Max is in bed, eyes wide, breathing shallow. Lisa sits next to him, brushing his hair with a gentleness that feels like mourning. The shades are drawn, but he keeps glancing at the window, like something outside is pressing against the glass. I kneel next to him. "Hey, partner." He doesn't answer. His lips are blue at the edges. I look at Lisa. "What happened?" She shrugs, helpless. "He started crying at noon. Said it was a fire, but cold this time. He says it's getting closer." Max grabs my wrist with fingers that don't belong to a living boy. His grip is iron. "It's not the man they caught," he says, voice hollow. "It's the doctor. He comes at night, sometimes with the blue flowers, sometimes just the light in his eyes." Lisa gasps, and I realize I've never told her about the other cases, the other kids who vanished, or the ones who came back mute and broken. "He's got a room," Max says, "under the real house. It's got a door that only opens when he wants it to. If you try to run, you fall forever." I believe him. Every word. "Why you?" I ask. He closes his eyes, as if the answer's a secret he can only tell himself. "I feel it because nobody else will. Somebody has to." I make a decision then, the kind you don't come back from. I tell Lisa to pack a bag just in case. I tuck Max into his blanket, promise I'll be back before dark. She looks at me like she's about to beg, but doesn't. She just nods, and the gratitude in her eyes is worse than any bullet wound. I drive to the edge of town, the part where the subdivisions thin out and the woods reclaim what's left. I sit there, engine off, and wait. I don't know what for, but I wait anyway. The sun sets slow, and I'm still waiting when the first streetlights flicker on. I think about all the times I wanted to be a hero and all the times I failed. I think about the kids nobody mourned and the parents who lied themselves to sleep. I think about the man in the blue house and the way he never once looked scared. I get out, lock the car, and start walking. It's a long shot. It's probably a death sentence. But someone's got to feel the pain, or it never stops. And I'd rather it be me than the next kid on the block. The street is empty, but for the bone-white hush of new frost. My boots crunch on it, echoing off garages and plastic Halloween skeletons still zip-tied to porch rails. Max follows a pace behind, bundled in 2 coats and a dead man's stare, his breathing loud as a respirator. If you saw us from the window, you'd say, burglar and kid, some local domestic, nothing you haven't called in before. We don't speak. I keep to the sidewalk, hands deep in pockets. The air smells like chimney smoke and the salt they use to keep old people from breaking hips. It's just past midnight, and every light in the blue house is off, but the frost at the windows says someone's keeping the fridge, or a body, running hot. Max starts to shiver a block away. I slow up, waiting for his color to return, but he looks worse every step closer. By the time we're even with the neighbor's mailbox, he's folded over, hands to his ribs, sweat breaking through his hairline despite the cold. We can call it, I say, not looking at him. No, he grinds out, and I almost believe the voice is mine. It's louder at night, like he's expecting. I keep moving. The blue house squats at the end of the block, windows shut against the world. There's a garden hose coiled by the front steps, frozen stiff as a rope. The dead tree in the yard has been trimmed back, but the stumps of branches stick out like broken fingers. I can't see any cameras, but I know better than to bet on neglect. We go around back. The gate's locked, but I shoulder it until the latch pops. Max swallows a sob when the hinges squeal. I take him by the arm and he lets me. His skin is clammy and his teeth are chattering, but his eyes are wide open, trained on the house. The back door is solid, the old kind you could batter for an hour and only put a dent in. But next to it, under the eaves, is a little basement window, painted shut, but the glass brittle with age. I take off my gloves, wrap a rag around my fist, and punch through. The crack is louder than I want, and for a second I freeze, waiting for a porch light to snap on or for Phelps himself to bark from inside. Nothing. I clear the glass, then reach through and fumble the latch. My hand comes back slick with something viscous, maybe sap, maybe something worse. The smell of old bleach rushes out, along with a sour note like dog piss. I hoist Max up first. He's small enough to slide through easy, though he catches on the sill and hisses when he scrapes his shoulder. I follow, wedging myself into the dark, unfinished crawl space. It's black as an oubliette. I thumb on the flashlight, low beam, and sweep the dirt floor. Plywood joists overhead, some rotted through, all crisscrossed with cobwebs and drooping insulation. The taste of copper and mildew clings to the tongue. Max stands frozen, arms wrapped tight, eyes darting. "It's that way," he whispers and points. We move slow, careful not to kick up too much noise. There's a smell down here that makes me want to retch. Industrial, but with a note of something animal. Not rot, but old fear. I have to duck under a tangle of exposed pipes, and at one point Max almost goes down, knees buckling. We come to the stairs, narrow, unfinished, a handrail sticky with grease or varnish. Max won't put his hand on it. He walks up the steps like he's on his way to a firing squad, every muscle jerking with the effort. At the top, we pause. The door isn't locked. I open it a crack and listen. Nothing. Just the hum of a fridge, a faint ticking from the living room clock. We slip into the kitchen. The tile is clean but old, the grout the color of old teeth. The counters are wiped down, but the trash can is overflowing with wet coffee filters and the trimmed ends of celery, which nobody under 50 ever eats. There's a row of vitamins on the sill, all labeled with a Sharpie. E. Phelps. The neatness feels less like order, more like erasure. Max keeps moving, like he knows the way. He glances up at the ceiling, then at the hallway. "It hurts more here," he mumbles, voice fuzzing at the edges. He points at the floor. The door to the basement is at the end of the hall, past a laundry closet stacked with uniforms in plastic. I try the knob, locked, but not with a deadbolt. I pry it with a penknife and it gives. Downstairs, the darkness folds in on itself. We creep down, me first. The flashlight beam shakes as my pulse runs up. The air in the stairwell is colder, but the further down we go, the heavier it gets. Max is panting now, breath rattling. He stops on the bottom step and clings to the railing, unable to let go. The basement is finished, sort of. There's a sagging sectional, a TV on a cinder block stand, and a wall of bookshelves filled with self-help manuals and psychiatric journals. The carpet is stained in places, the kind of stains you don't bother to hide if you're not expecting company. There's a bar in the corner, but the bottles behind it are all water with food coloring. Max's legs give, and he drops to a squat, hugging himself. "It's here," he whispers. I scan the walls. Nothing out of place, until I notice the one shelf near the furnace is loaded heavier than the others. The books are doubles, all the same copy of DSM-4, stacked 2 deep. I run my hand along the spines. One is loose. I pull it, and the shelf swings an inch away from the wall. "Bingo," I mutter, then pull the shelf further. There's a door behind it, painted the same eggshell as the walls, but with a lock the size of a fist. I turn to Max. He's gone rigid, face beaded with tears, lips moving, but no sound coming out. "Max, stay with me. You can do this." He doesn't respond. His fingers dig into the carpet, and a wet spot spreads under his left knee. I wedge the crowbar, lifted from Lisa's trunk, into the gap and lever hard. The lock cracks, metal biting into the wood. I shoulder the door and it pops open, swinging in with a gust of air so cold it turns my teeth to gravel. Inside is dark, but I can smell it before I see it. Blood, sweat, the kind of terror that stains forever. The flashlight beam trembles as I sweep the room. A mattress, filthy and compressed, sits in the corner. There's duct tape stuck to the edges, several loops still clinging to threads of hair. On the far wall, a pair of handcuffs dangle from a heating pipe, one closed, the other snapped open and blooded. A plastic bucket. A tray of cheese sandwiches, green at the crusts. On a small table, a baby monitor blinks, red light pulsing. I step in, careful not to touch anything. My stomach knots, my jaw grinds. I check the corners for a body, for anything that might have once been Ava. The room is empty. Behind me, Max's scream is high and shredding. He collapses, body convulsing. I scoop him up and drag him out, back to the den with the TV and the couch. He's shaking so hard he can't speak, but he points at the floor, at the vent cover beneath the bar. "It's under," he gasps. I crawl over and yank at the vent. It comes off easy. There's a void behind it, barely big enough for a child, but enough if you wanted to keep something hidden for a while. I reach in. The space is lined with a wool blanket, and there's a smell. stale, like someone's been exhaling terror into it for days. At the very back, my fingers brush against something soft, then something colder. A hand, small and limp. I fumble and grab, and the hand closes weakly on mine. She's alive. I pull her out, cradling the bundle in my arms. She's filthy, hair matted with blood, but she's breathing. Her eyes don't focus. Her lips are blue. Max reaches out, touches her cheek. He makes a sound, not quite a word, more like a benediction. "It's better now," he says. He faints. I lay them side by side on the carpet, then fish out my phone. The screen is smeared, but it works. I dial 911. My voice is flat, measured, but the operator asks me to repeat myself twice. "There's a child. She's alive, but needs a paramedic. Basement of 306 Pine. Randall's boy needs help, too." I give my name. I hear the sirens before I hang up. I sit with Max and Ava, hand on each of their shoulders, until the blue and red lights shatter the dark. I wait for the footsteps, the bark of police, the chaos of rescue. But in this moment, I am the only witness. The pain has moved on, if only for now. The silence after you call for help is worse than any scream. I sit in the stink of that room, pulse thudding in my jaw, watching the girl draw breath in tiny, measured sips. Max is out cold, knees drawn to his chest like he's bracing for impact. Ava's eyes open once, then snap shut. I don't blame her. Even with the duct tape and handcuffs off, even with me speaking soft as I know how, there's no reason in the world for her to trust anything with hands and a voice. She makes a little noise, a mew, and curls tighter. The blanket from the vent is scratchy and wet, but she clings to it. I search the room for anything to help. First aid, bottled water, even a clean rag. I come up with a crust of sandwich and a bottle of smart water with a broken seal. I hesitate, then unscrew it and pour a little into a Dixie cup. "Ava," I say, kneeling beside her. "It's Ray. I'm here to help you. You're safe now." She blinks, face a mask of grime and panic. Her lips move, but the sound is gone. She tries to sit up and nearly falls. I ease her back, holding her hand in both of mine, showing her my palms like I'm surrendering. "It's okay. The police are coming. No one will hurt you now." The word police registers, but not in the way I want. She shakes her head, starts to weep, a thin thread that turns into hiccuped gasps. I keep my grip gentle, and she doesn't pull away. I check Max's pulse, weak but steady. His breathing slowed, the color back in his cheeks. He looks peaceful, if that word has any meaning here. I hear the sirens before I see the lights. They fill the cracks in the foundation, then the hallway, then the whole goddamn neighborhood. Paramedics come first, boots slapping the tile, kits banging against their knees. They're good. A woman with no earrings and forearms that could crack walnuts. A guy who says, "I'm Steve. You're safe now. We got you," and means it. They cocoon Ava in a thermal blanket, wrap her up like she's the last egg on earth. Detective Gomez arrives right behind them, trench coat half-buttoned, gun drawn. She's got a partner with her, tall, thin, face a blank slab. Gomez takes one look at the scene and lowers the gun. Her mouth works, but no words come out for a beat. "What the fuck?" she says. Then, "Jesus Christ, Ray, how did you—" I motion at the shelf, the fake wall. "He's been doing this for years, maybe longer." She looks at the handcuffs, the stains on the mattress, the blood on the pipe, and her face goes blank. She says nothing for a long time. Ava is on her feet now, held up by the paramedics. Her eyes are feral, searching for escape. Steve the medic puts his arm around her shoulders and guides her out. The woman checks Max, does the routine, Pulse, pupils, name, date. He wakes long enough to whisper, "Ava?" And when I tell him she's safe, he slumps back, finally spent. Gomez stands in the doorway, arms folded. "You got lucky. You know that, right?" "Not as lucky as her," I say. She shakes her head. "Phelps? Not here. There's a monitor. Bet he knew we were coming. He might be close, though." Gomez calls it in. She gives precise orders, voice clipped and hard. I watch her and wonder if she's thinking about all the times she brushed this off, all the times she told me to leave it to the professionals. The other cops sweep the house, but I know he's long gone. I take a last look at the room, at the bookshelves stacked too deep to hide the door, and wonder how many kids before Ava spent their last hours staring at the inside of that wall. The paramedics load Max onto a gurney. He's awake now, eyes clear, no tears. He reaches for my hand as they roll him past. "Did you find her?" he asks. I squeeze his hand. "You did, Max. You did good." His face cracks into something like a smile. Then they're gone, out to the ambulance, into the night. Gomez lingers, hands on hips, scanning every detail. "You broke a dozen laws getting in here." He broke more. She doesn't argue. Instead, she pulls out a notepad and says, "Give it to me straight, from the top." I tell her everything, how Max knew, how the pain mapped to the house, how we broke in and found the room. She writes it all, fast and furious. When I finish, she asks, "What happens to him now?" I look out the window. Blue and red lights still paint the frost. "He'll have scars, but maybe he'll sleep for once." Gomez closes the pad. "Don't leave town," she says, and for the first time it sounds less like a threat and more like a plea. I watch the ambulances leave, the last wail of their sirens stitched into the air like a warning. The pain's gone, at least for tonight, but I know it's not finished. Not in this town, not ever. The sun isn't up, but the living room is full of uniforms and paperwork. Gomez has commandeered the kitchen, evidence bags stacked like sandbags on the linoleum. A forensics tech combs the basement, muttering into a tape recorder about trace organics and improper storage of biological waste. I watch from the couch, bandaged and bone-tired, waiting for the adrenaline to stop chewing holes in my stomach. Max sits at the dining table, two paramedics fussing over him. He looks better, color in his face, hands steady. He picks at a pack of graham crackers, not really eating, just breaking them into smaller and smaller pieces. Every so often he glances at the front door, the expectation in his eyes almost superstitious. Gomez wraps her interview with the forensics guy and sits beside me, flipping through her notepad. "You sure you didn't miss anything?" she asks. "Not unless you want my childhood traumas," I say. She almost smiles. "I got a full hour from the girl. It matches your story." "Good," I say. Maybe she'll get to keep her name in the news for more than one cycle. Before she can answer, there's a commotion outside. Boots on the porch, a sharp, angry voice. The front door swings wide and in walks Dr. Eric Phelps. He's dressed for the camera. Tailored suit, perfect hair, even the glasses. If he's surprised to find his house lit up like a crime scene, he hides it well. He scans the room, takes in the uniforms and the evidence bags. "What the hell is going on here?" he demands, voice pitched to project through drywall. Gomez stands. "You Dr. Eric Phelps?" He stares at her badge like he's memorizing the numbers. "I am. What's the meaning of this? Where were you between midnight and 2 a.m.? He barks a laugh. "Is this a joke? I was at a medical conference. I have dozens of witnesses. What's your probable cause?" Gomez gestures at the basement stairs. We found a missing child in a concealed room. She had your DNA on her, and there's evidence of prior abuse. Want to explain that?" His face flickers. 1 microsecond of panic, then pure ice. "You're mistaken. There must be some mix-up. I don't have children. I don't even treat pediatric cases." Gomez holds his gaze. "Your practice's records show at least 6 house calls in the last year, all for children with behavioral episodes. You want to tell me why?" He glances at me, then at Max, then back at Gomez. "Are you taking the word of an unstable ex-cop and a traumatized child over hard evidence? Because if so, I want my lawyer. Immediately." I stand, just to see what he'll do. He doesn't flinch, but his eyes narrow. "You again," he says. "You've been harassing my family for weeks." I say nothing, let him fill the air with his own sweat. He turns to Max. "I'm sorry, son. Did this man bring you here? He's a very sick individual." "It's not your fault." Max recoils, chair scraping the floor. He covers his ears, shaking. "Don't let him touch me," he whispers. Gomez moves fast, stepping between them. "Dr. Phelps, you're under arrest for kidnapping, aggravated assault, and unlawful imprisonment. Anything you say." He holds up his hands, calm as a man in a waiting room. "You're making a grave mistake, Detective. My attorney will have your badge by morning." "Let's hope he's faster than Child Services," she says, and cuffs him. As she leads him out, he turns, just enough so only I can see his lips move. "It doesn't end with me," he says, voice low. "There's a reason nobody ever asks what happens to the kids who vanish. Not in this town." I look him in the eye and shrug. "Then I'll just have to keep looking." He smiles, and it's the coldest thing I've ever seen. Gomez marches him to the squad car, reading him rights in a voice that cracks once, then holds steady. The other officers follow, some staring at the floor, some at the sunrise leaking through the clouds. Max watches the whole thing from behind the safety of the table, hands pressed over his ears. When the door closes, he relaxes, shoulders uncoiling for the first time in hours. Gomez comes back in, hair wild, cuffs swinging from her belt. "He'll walk," she says. "Maybe not this week, but eventually. People like that always do." I nod. "Maybe, but not before the papers get it, not before the neighbors start whispering." She considers this, then slumps into a chair. "You ever sleep, Ray?" "Not if I can help it." She laughs, short and bitter, then leans back and closes her eyes. "If you ever need a job, you'd make a hell of an investigator." I raise my coffee. "I'll stick to the freelance stuff." Outside, the sun's up, the lights on the squad car fading with distance. I look at Max, who's already started to doze, and wonder if the damage tonight is the kind that heals or the kind that breeds new ghosts. But at least for now, the house is empty. The pain has somewhere else to go. They keep Max overnight for observation. The hospital isn't full, but it hums with the usual ghosts. People in robes, people in scrubs, people who've forgotten what sleep is. I wander the halls, check the vending machines for coffee, fail to find any that isn't flavored with burnt plastic. Ava's 2 rooms down, her family never leaves her side. At first, I think she's sedated, but no, she's awake, just staring at the ceiling, her mother brushing the hair from her forehead like if she just kept stroking, all the bruises and absences would smooth out too. Her father stands in the corner, knuckles pressed white against the chair back, jaw working like he's chewing the words he never got to say. When I stop by, Ava looks at me, then looks away. I see the bruise on her wrist, the scab under her eye. Her mother thanks me a dozen times, voice bright and brittle as a bulb about to go. Her father just stares, then, when her mother isn't looking, leans in. "Will she ever be right?" he whispers. I've seen worse, I say, though it's not true. In Max's room, the TV is always on, but the volume is low. He watches cartoons, but doesn't laugh. Lisa is with him, hair tangled, one eye closed from a sleepless night. When she catches me at the door, she doesn't speak, just motions for me to sit. "How is he?" I ask. She shrugs. "Better than last night. They say he can go home in the morning if nothing happens." "What about you?" She almost laughs. "I'm used to the ER." I look at Max. He's awake, but miles away. I reach for a chair, careful not to scrape it on the tile. Lisa watches me, voice small. "What happens now?" "Phelps will make bail. He'll lawyer up. With any luck, he'll have to leave town." "With any luck," she repeats, and I can't tell if she believes it. She takes a deep breath. "You know they're saying this was all you, that you broke in, that you could have planted the kid in that room." "I know. They're saying I made it up, the pain, the dreams, that Max is just disturbed." "People need a story," I say, "one that fits." She nods. "They said that about Jacob, too." I remember the brother, how nobody ever found out what happened, how people said tragic and then changed the subject. A nurse comes in, checks Max's chart, leaves again. Lisa gathers herself, reaches for my hand, then stops. "You believed him," she says. "Nobody else ever did." I want to say it was nothing, but I know better. "You did good too," I say. She smiles, a real one this time, if only for a second. The next morning, a news crew sets up shop outside the ER. They film a 30-second spot about the brave recovery of local heroes, then pack up before lunch. The school sends flowers. The neighborhood watch sends a card. Nobody sends food or money or anything that would matter for more than an hour. By noon, Max is cleared to go. I wait by the exit, watching as Lisa half carries, half guides him out to the car. He sees me, waves, and for the first time, I think he means it. Lisa loads him in, then comes back to where I stand. "If you need anything," I say, "call." She nods, then, before she goes, hugs me, quick, fierce, and done. "Thank you," she says. "For what?" "For looking when everyone else looked away." She gets in the car, drives off slow, like she's afraid to wake the world. I go back inside, find the nearest coffee, and drink it hot and black, bitter as the news cycle already moving on. Night again. The town is empty, stitched together by street lamps and the steady blink of traffic signals with nowhere to go. I walk the blocks around Willow Creek, not because I have anywhere to be, but because sleep is for people with lighter ghosts. Somewhere behind a dozen locked doors, Max is asleep. "I believe it," Lisa called to say he went down before sunset, slept through a thunderstorm, woke only to say, "It's quiet now," and rolled over, chasing a dream no one else could see. Ava's story is already old news. The blogs call her the Miracle Girl, as if survival was a lottery ticket and not a bloody grind. Her family will move, maybe change their name, try to remember how to breathe when the phone rings. The doctors say she'll need years to heal, but they always say that. I stop in front of the blue house. Police tape flaps in the wind, an afterthought. They've boarded up the basement window, but I know what's under the paint and plywood. I know how many hours of suffering it takes to build a room like that, and how long it echoes after you leave. People say pain is a symptom, that it means something's wrong, something that can be fixed, but they never talk about the kind of pain that lives outside the body, how it jumps, multiplies, finds the next soft spot and digs in. Max felt it, and now so do I. I light a cigarette, watch the smoke tangle with the fog. I think of all the kids who cried for help and got silence, all the parents who kept the windows closed and the curtains drawn. I wonder if it matters, in the end, if you catch the monster. If the monster is just a man with bad wiring, or if the real monster is the world that keeps the doors locked, calls the cops on the ones who can't hide it, and then shrugs when the headlines fade. But tonight, for once, it's quiet. I finish the walk, end up at the edge of the school. The swings creak in the wind, empty and slick with rain. I picture Max here, feet scuffing the gravel, eyes on the sky, hoping for something better. Maybe he'll get it. I toss the cigarette, watch it flare in the dark, then turn for home. Next time the pain finds someone, maybe I'll be ready. Maybe I won't look away.